Hello, fellow warriors against consensus reality, lovers of truth, wisdom, the seeking of peak levels of irreverence and sarcasm, and the deeper esoteric path. Yes, I know I'm on a bit of a roll lately. One video every day. Wow. Well, when they come when they will. That's all I can say. Yeah, today is more of a different kind of video, more akin to my original purpose and vision for this channel, and not talking about Chads or Tyrones or feminism or female nature or any of that. The 5 commandments of MGTOW. All right, none of that fucking bullshit. As I kept saying, as I said on my main channel from the very beginning, well, not from the very beginning, but somewhere fairly early on, MGTOW is only one very, very, very small part of the broader tapestry of male and indeed human perception and experience and thought and feeling. And I don't know about some of you guys, but I'm just sick and tired of these same videos over and over and over and over again. Yes, I know there's a new batch of fanatical MGTOW zealots. But when you've been a monk for 13 years, you get to put certain things into perspective. And putting things into perspective is what today's video is all about. And before I go and have coffee with my one and only female friend who is in her 60s, I've mentioned her before a few times, the only female who is a friend and who is worth my time around here. But yeah, I was checking out some of the live stream of the above mentioned Myth Vision podcasts, and it's amazing when you talk about that kind of stuff, i.e. the esoteric origins of the esoteric pagan origins of Christianity, the true history of the church, you know, the collective esoteric philosophy, symbolism and culture going back thousands of years, and how certain things from one tradition seem similar to another tradition all the way over here, that kind of stuff. And that pursuit is interesting in and of itself. It shows that we all share a common human experience, and it also shows that we are all indeed the same infinite awareness, currently inhabiting, what is it, 7 billion meat bags? 7.2 billion, I think I read somewhere, meat bags of various shades and sizes and shapes and skin tones and geographical locations, because that's all part of the wonderful human experience. That's what part of the glories of being human, right? And the topic today was there was somebody on, I didn't catch his name. They don't really introduce the names very well. You click on within minutes of the live stream beginning, and you're thinking, okay, other than the main channel guy, who the fuck are all these guys on the panel? You know. And the comments in these kind of live streams are interesting in themselves, and of course I did my best to share little bits of truth, and especially sharing the fact that this quote-unquote Jesus Christ myth is a Frankenstein's monster of pre-existing pagan dying and resurrecting godmen. And I shared my little nugget of truth, i.e. take a bit of Orpheus, Dionysus, add him to a dash of Mithra, a liberal pouring of Krishna, a little bit of Osiris and the other guy, I forget what the other one is. That's how much I care about ancient Egypt. The only time I care about Egypt is when it comes to Ptolemaic Alexandria. Okay. And if you don't know what that is, then you've got some reading to do. And you know, like that. And one of the moderators like, oh, there's parallels, a bit of a stretch. I go, not at all. If you take aspects of the Mithra and the Krishna myth alone, the 12 apostles, the virgin birth, the 3 wise men, the star, all the rest of this crap, and mesh it together with actually an existing man called Apollonius of Tyana, who was born in, I believe, 3 BCE, during the exact time of this Jesus myth. Now, I was reading a book. I failed to recollect exactly which book it is. It's in one of my hundreds of books I have on the, around. And they wonderfully shared the some little bits of information. An itinerant preacher, he had followers, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of it, when you think he's talking about Jesus Christ, he goes, oh, by the way, this is the story of a man called Apollonius of Tyana. So yeah, that was kind of cool. But there you have it, right? And a lot of this stuff, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, because of the heavy censorship from the church gobshites, no, it wasn't Rome. You have very, very scant and threadbare information on people like Apollonius of Tyana and the wonderful pagan philosopher Celsus, who quite rightly and cleverly pointed out, okay, well, this is your Jesus story. How is he different from any of the other dying and resurrecting God-men who share almost identical stories? What makes yours any different? And of course, that's when the historicists, the literalists, came out, and you can thank Constantine and his cronies for that. And they came along and said, oh, no, but ours actually existed in history, and thereby single-handedly, in that point, they created their own downfall of irrelevance. Right? So even from then, they ensured that Christianity was going to die a slow and very painful death. And I couldn't be more happier, I have to say. But yeah, that sort of sparked the idea for this for the topic of this video today, because I am of the opinion, through my years of research, and now what I'm about to say, the problem with this type of research is you only have little bits and pieces of the puzzle. So you only find small jigsaw puzzle pieces here and there, and that's the rub. It takes a lot of work to try to fit in any kind of narrative structure around a theory that you've discovered through your research, namely that the creation of a Jewish version of the dying and resurrecting God-man, which was the existing important and powerful archetype, I have to say, spanning many cultures, many eras, going back to Tammuz of Babylon and Osiris and whatever the other guy's name is. And of course you've got that classic sculpture of Osiris, or whatever the other guy's name is, being held by Isis. And of course that looks like the typical church statues of Mary holding an infant Jesus. Oops. And the Virgin giving birth to the deity incarnate baby boy is hardly original to Christianity. But my theory is that the Jesus Christ myth, yes, it is a myth. I know some of the people are butthurt about, ooh, the problem I have about the mythicists. Well, the fact is, you chose to create the Jesus Christ myth during the most well-chronicled, well-documented era of the ancient world, didn't you? Mid to late Roman times was the most well-chronicled era of the ancient world. If you were going to get away with your myth, you would have created it around the 8th or 7th centuries BCE. Right? Idiots. That's what you get for having a good wank over a deity who gets all hard over the male foreskin, and he's what, jealous, so he demands all male children to be circumcised, right? And fixates over what you do with your dangly bits in the privacy of your own bedrooms. But anyway, I digress. But my theory is that this Jesus Christ myth was purposely created for the eventual long-term plan of total control of as many people as possible. The totalitarian tiptoe that we're seeing the fruits of today, which of course had its various incarnations throughout history. But my theory is that they, quote unquote, wanted a method to control people, to scare the crap out of people into pure blind obedience, thereby taking away individuality and creativity and true education and knowledge, by creating Christianity and the myth of Jesus Christ, and thereby closing the death of the ancient world. By the way, was the closing of the and destruction of the Academy of Athens in, what was it, 427 CE, something like that. And that was the death of the ancient world, sadly. And what was the result of that? The Dark Ages. Okay? What was the immediate fruit of that? The Dark Ages. Okay? So yeah, we've got a wee bit of a problem. And I'll probably get into a more detailed video of this down the track. Namely, the Book of Revelation and the role thereof. By the way, it's got nothing to do with predicting the future of today. I believe from my own research, the Book of Revelation is nothing more than a collection of ideas and symbols and concepts of sacred geometry put together for the purposes of unraveling and unlocking by the, quote, those who have eyes to see and those who have ears to hear. Alright? And to the end of going on another deep dive into all this, I took down from my shelf The Pagan Christ by Thomas Harpur. Hell of a book. So before I meet my friend, I'll have my initial coffee and sit down and get into that book. There's also great books by The Jesus Mysteries by Timothy Freke, Freke, and Peter Gandy, Gandy, I believe. Yeah, they're available on Book Depository. And The Jesus Mysteries and the sequel, I forget the name of it off the top of my head. It's been quite a number of years since I actually read it. 20 years, I'd say. Jeez, it's been a while. So, yeah, I think I'll be doing a deep dive into these. Of course, there's the polemic, sort of hard-hitting book called the Christ Conspiracy by the now deceased Akaria S. That was her pen name. Hell of a book. I mean, okay, she did go a little bit too far in one or two little things, but all in all, for the most part, she was spot on. So if you find those books, they're well worth a read. And they unravel the true origins of this Jesus Christ and Christianity bollocks. What an excellent vehicle of control. Why do you think they wanted to eradicate the Gnostics like they did? Because the Gnostics taught about self-empowerment and individuality and connecting with the... and readily acknowledging that these are actually archetypal myths, right? Meant to access and use as vehicles for higher levels of consciousness attainment, right? With the ultimate level of theosis, the Hellenic word used for that. In other words, reaching self-godhood. In other words, fully connecting with your infinite awareness within, i.e. your higher self. Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, Buddha, nature, call it what you will, it's the same fucking thing. So I think I'll end my video there. And yeah, I think I'll go into more detail of these kind of topics on this channel, for those who are interested. Well, even for my own interest, actually. Thank you for bringing me to 81 subs. You're fucking legends. And Stone Reaper, yeah, I'm getting there, brother, with the video on the Book of Revelation. I'm getting there. And just remember, to speak the truth is a lonely path. The sarcastic and hermetically silent lone wolf on guitar, out.